we had the chance to speak directly in the studio with the Russian ambassador for Indonesia. And now, for this Monday's edition, we will speak with the Ukrainian ambassador to Indonesia, His Excellency Vasyl Hamianin. Welcome, Your Excellency. Thank you for taking the time and the effort to come to the studio.
Thank you very much.
So let us begin with the latest situation regarding all kinds of information, or let me paraphrase with misinformation. What do you think of the misinformation in the news about the ongoing war in Ukraine?
Well, at present, all the disinformation, I would say, and lies comes from the sources related to Russian propaganda, propagandistic machines. So I would advise everyone not to read Russian news and not to watch Russian TV, because it's misleading and it's just pure lies. And some information could be like, I mean, it's so obvious that you can see many videos and photos and facts really reflecting the atrocities and war crimes committed by Russian army in Ukraine. And then the next day, Russian diplomats and Russian media just say nothing happened and it's all like fake and all this stuff. So I don't think that they deserve even to be called media or diplomats.
And that's exactly what the Russian ambassador last week, well, she was sitting right where you're sitting. She said what happened in Bucha was staged.
Absolutely. What would she say? I mean, anyone who do not trust Ukrainian official media can maybe trust Reuters or CNN or other worldwide recognized media, or maybe Al Jazeera, whose reporters are working on site, or maybe the representative of Indonesian media who arrived yesterday and visited Bucha today. So that will be reliable. And then after all, if anyone wants to make sure that what really happened in there, I mean, you just showed like 1% of the atrocities really happened, and where would we hide the bodies of killed and murdered and raped? This will be the like silenced witnesses of the crimes. So the investigations are on the way. And the expert of representing the Prosecutor General's Office of Ukraine, and now the world community will send more. So also we invited the representatives of Indonesia, if they want, to take part in these investigations. The truth will be revealed.
Now, speaking of assistance, I'd like to quote what President Zelensky, as he was featured on the U.S. news magazine show 60 Minutes, he says, in the exclusive interview, says he has 100% confidence in the people and the armed forces of Ukraine, but he does not necessarily have 100% confidence in getting what he needs or what Ukraine needs. Does Ukraine feel alone in this?
Not at all. We don't feel alone. At least I feel that we get a lot of help and support from all over the world. Is
it enough, the help that you have been getting up until this point?
We get all sorts of help. First of all, it's moral support. It's very important when the aggressor is condemned, and when the aggressor is named, when the crimes committed by Russia are named war crimes and they are spoken aloud. The second one is the humanitarian aid we receive from all over the world, from many countries, many nations, many private companies and people. So this is medical, food, clothes, etc. So a lot of this comes from Europe and through the European channels because it's closest. Then military support. We receive a lot of nice presents for the aggressors. I mean, if you see the statistics, of course you needn't to listen to this guy Konashenko who reports the absolute rubbish. But if you see the statistics of the helicopters, for example, of tanks and of aircraft shot down or destroyed in recent weeks, you understand that something very nice is coming, and finally we can be a little bit more happy and confident about closing the sky over Ukraine, unlike the first weeks.
There are still some issues such as not even wanting to close the airspace, and as a result Russian air raids are inevitable, and also President Zelensky voicing out to NATO, voicing out to the UN. He has been blunt in terms of speaking out that he appreciates the military aid, but he can always use more.
You know, the first days of the aggression, I must say it now frankly, I think there was only one country in the world who believed that we will be efficient in resisting Russian aggression, was Ukraine itself, because I don't think anyone in the world believed that we can stand for more than 7 days, maybe 5 days. And finally, that's why, having the obvious experience of Afghanistan, when they left so many weapons and all this ammunition and arms, that's why we were not provided this in advance, beforehand. But in 2 weeks, the world saw that Ukraine is resisting and beating the enemy and defeating it on many directions. And it's like overall resistance. So everyone is fighting and everyone's willing to fight. The motivation is so high that after that, we started receiving a lot of new weapons. And now we're talking even about the heavy weapons. But unfortunately, the first weeks were the most tragic for many cities in terms of bombardments and missile shellings, which were Mariupol, which were Kharkiv, including Sumy and Chernihiv. And of course, many missiles dropped in various cities all around the country. So this was a tragedy, and this was really like appeals were unanswered at that time. So, but now I think we have more means, more instruments for closing the sky.
President Zelensky himself says, asked the question, would he be willing to meet in person, one-on-one with Russian President Putin? He says he's open to it, but he's still asking how much that will resolve the whole issue, since it's such a complicated issue that we're talking about. But talking about peace dialogues have been carried out. What do you think are the most challenging points to be mutually agreed upon?
The most challenging point is one, the purpose, the final target of President Putin and the Putin's regime. And the final target is no less than elimination of Ukraine from the world map. They want to erase Ukraine as nation. It's now pretty obvious to me, and this understanding came to me like sort of a week ago, after Bucha and after all these regroupments and all this stuff. So now I understand. And after the publication of this fascist ideological article in Russian media by themselves, like telling that Ukraine has no right to exist, and Ukrainians must be destroyed, killed, and put into the concentration camps. It's obvious. So it's one purpose. That's why I don't think Putin will ever want the dialogue at all. It's not his target. His target is not even Ukrainian territory. His target is to destroy Ukrainians. That's his dream, I think. But that's why I don't believe in peaceful negotiations. However, Ukrainian side never refused, and always, we want to stop the war, When you stop the war, peace talks has one key word, peace. When you sit down and talk, you shouldn't fight. You shouldn't kill the civilians. You shouldn't attack the cities from air, from land, from everything. This is the key for peaceful negotiations, don't you think?
Now, you are the representative in Indonesia for Ukraine. So how does Ukraine view Indonesia's so-called neutral position, and also in Jakarta's efforts to maintain communication with Russia? It's in the news now regarding the upcoming G20 several months from now. Nothing has been confirmed yet, but the invitation has been sent to Russia, and might or might not attend. But how does Ukraine view Indonesia?
I would say this, I would not try, I'm not in the position to give advice to the government, to the leaders of the nation, and to the leaders of Minister of Foreign Affairs, etc., because they are wise and clever people, very much experienced, and they have their own principles, they have their own plan. That's why I think that the plan of Indonesia is to go through the multilateralism. To go through the UN mechanisms and all these multilateral talks, peace talks and all this stuff. But my view is very simple. Addressing the world. It's not like addressing the Indonesia or someone. I think that neutrality doesn't mean not naming the aggressor and not condemning the aggression. That's my point. And I think that, well, it's crucial for us now to get the support from the world, from the humanity, because what they do in Ukraine is it's a colonial war against democracy worldwide. It's a global war. It's not just, happening on this piece of land. That's why we need the support of the humankind.
And speaking of support, exactly or specifically, any kind of support specifically does Ukraine expect from Indonesia?
I think I made it like times and times clear for everyone through various channels. What do we want really? First of all, I repeat, it's moral support. It's strong condemnation of the aggressor and naming the aggressor. Naming the aggressor would make him feel not wrong and make us feel supported. Second is the humanitarian aid, which I really hope that not only Indonesia, but many countries will provide to Ukraine, for civilians to survive, at least. Third, I would really go for sanctions. Sanctions is something we all expect, because it's very important to understand the sanctions are not targeted at Russia to humiliate Russia or to make it weak, but to stop it financing the war. Every dollar Russia receives now, every single dollar, every single penny will be used to kill Ukrainian people, to produce weapons. That's why the sanctions. So we would expect really from the Indonesian government, I would expect, I hope, right, that there will be some limitations, there will be some sanctions, there will be some something that will prevent Russia to produce weapons and to go on the war.
Supposedly, Putin does decide to attend G20 in Indonesia. When it does happen, will that hurt Ukraine, or how does Ukraine view that?
I would say that we now experiencing the 47-day of war, of very cruel war, and every day is like a month, and it's still 6 months till the beginning of the summit of G20. So for me, it's a long way, it's years ahead. So I would not even try to predict or foresee what is going to happen. But what I want to say really is that I think that the representative of a terrorist state and the real war criminal, his participation in any gathering, authoritative and respectful gathering, international I mean, his presence in any respectful and authoritative platform will be the humiliation for all the participants and for the platform itself.